Okay, let's get straight into it. Today on 86 TV, we're checking out the Huawei P40 Pro. Let's go. First things first, price 19,000 Rand, $950. But we in South Africa, we do not really care about dollars, so 19,000 Rand it is. In the box, you get a pair of USB headphones, a SIM ejector tool, a cover. My review unit did not come with one, a 40-watt supercharger, and the P40 Pro. Checking out the design of the body of this phone, mine is a frost silver. It's quite smart, less fingerprints. I'm a huge fan of this design. The display resembles a waterfall off the edge of a cliff, so the display kind of sits into the back of the phone and the edges are quite rounded. While this does look strikingly stunning, gripping onto the edges of the glass can be a task to swipe back, swipe forward and swipe below. Looking at the SIM card tray, it's a single SIM, but it's a hybrid SIM tray. So you can rock one SD card and a SIM card or two SIM cards. There is a single downward firing facing speaker. While it is quite loud and punchy and you can hear a full range of sound, it would have been ideal if there was a dual set of stereo speakers at either end. When holding the phone in landscape mode to watch a video or play games, you can easily block the speaker. And on the top part to listen to your phone calls, it has an acoustic sound panel, so it uses sound through glass to emit the vibrations in order for you to hear your phone call. And it's quite clear, we've seen this quite a lot in the newer devices now. On the right hand side is the volume rocker and the power button. They have both been relocated slightly down the chassis, so it is easier to access. While the buttons are sturdy and clickable, they are a bit sharp and it may be a bit uncomfortable to press. The red power button has a strip of red paint to identify it more clearly. I'll give it that gamer look. There's a decent battery in this phone rated at 4200 mAh and I could easily get 7 to 8 hours of full use. And charging this 4200 mAh battery is done by a 40-watt supercharger. It's not the fastest I've seen, which is normally around 65 watts, but this thing really does fly. Another highlight is fast reversible charging at 27 watts. Normally most phones are shipping now with 25 and 30 watts of normal charging. This is giving you reversible wireless charging at 27 watts, so that's pretty dope. A closer look at the display, it's an LED, HDR10 supported display, and you're getting those crispy deep blacks, and the colors are quite popping. The size of the screen is 6.58 and that's ideal for me. I feel like 6.7 is just slightly too much, but 6.58 is a sweet spot for my ginormous hands. Now it does appear a lot larger than it actually is because of the rounded edges. The key change here is the 90Hz panel. It's not 144Hz like some other flagship devices, but I do find that the 90Hz panel is a good comparison for power consumption and performance. Once you get used to a higher refresh rate on a phone, it really hurts when you go back down to a normal refresh rate. The P40 Pro is water and dust resistant, IP68 certified, but you're not really gonna throw it into an ocean for an hour or so. That's like 30 minutes at 1.5 meters depth. A quick splash here or two and you should be covered. Okay, so diving deeper into the specs, this phone does have the Kirin 990, a 7nm chip, 5G enabled for those blazing fast 5G speeds. We here in South Africa do not have true 5G speeds, so even though they say it's 5G, it's more like 4G plus. So we're gonna wait to see what 5G is truly capable of, but it's nice that this phone has this, kind of future-proofing it for a few years. There's a 128, 256GB and 512 gigabyte variant available. This model is a 256GB and it's adequate to run just about any game or any app. So the base operating system it does ship with is Android 10 to be exact, and EMUI, which is Huawei's based skin over Android 10.1. Things I really like about Huawei's EMUI is the power saving features. They can really help save a ton of power to extend usage over a single day. There's also features like Huawei Share, where if you have a Huawei laptop, you can seamlessly integrate your phone with your laptop. There's also AirSwipe, which I'm not really a fan of because I couldn't get to work properly. Some motions did work, but some motions did not work. And lastly, meet Celia, the Huawei assistant. Hey Celia, play me some music.
Okay, music is playing it for you.
However, there are no standard loaded Google apps. All the Google apps are missing from this phone, which is not entirely a deal breaker. Stay tuned to the end for more on that. So we finally get to check out the selfie camera. It's a 32 megapixel shooter with the infrared sensor. The cutout is a bit larger here, capsule style, but for additional security I suppose it's worth it. You really do not notice it after a short period of time. Firstly, we're gonna take a selfie. There's some heavy beautification going on here, but hey, I'm all for that. Some people would like a really detailed picture of themselves where you can see every spot or imperfection, but on the other hand, some people really want to hide those imperfections. I guess it comes down to preference or personal choice. Okay, so I just rocked up back at the mall. I'm feeling a bit hungry. I think McD's is over there. Let's go get some McD's. But this is the selfie camera and it does shoot in 4K. It's pretty dope. I dig the selfie camera. There's some beauty modes going on, but for me, I think I need a bit more of the beauty mode. Before I dive deep into the specs of the main camera module, please note that this is my opinion of this camera system. I'm by no means a professional photographer or videographer, but this is a real world case of everyday use for your average person. You can jump onto places like DxOMark to see scores and ratings, but I would much rather prefer a personal review of cameras, because each person is subject to their own opinion, and not every camera will shoot quality that everybody will agree is the best. Okay, too much talking now, back to the review. Okay, as you can see, the camera module is huge, but with the case I think you can get it to sit a bit more flush mounted, but if you place it flat on a table it is gonna sit a bit lopsided without a case. It's a quadruple camera setup with Leica optics in a variety of different modes. The main shooter is sporting a 50 megapixel with optical image stabilization. There's a 12 megapixel telephoto, a 40 megapixel ultrawide, and a 3D depth sensor. Taking a look at the main 50 megapixel shooter up first, you can see the pictures are quite detailed and clear. You can, however, tell some of the pictures are being digitally sharpened, and there's a good sense of bokeh or bokeh going on in the background. Night mode is used by the 50 megapixel camera, and it takes stunning pictures in the dark. At one point here I shot in completely black where I could not see a thing with my naked eye, and here is the picture that it produced. Quite usable. Up next is the telephoto, and this has a 50x zoom range. It's not like the P40 Pro Plus, which has 100 times zoom. The P40 Pro has a 5 times optical zoom, 10 times hybrid zoom, and 50 times maximum digital zoom. I then headed to the beach. I wanted to check out the differences between the wide angle, the normal camera, and the telephoto. So just check out these photos. So scoping out the video on this camera, it does shoot 4K 60 frames a second as well as 1080p at 60 frames a second, but there is also high frame rate options. Short burst clips at 1080p of up to 960 frames per second and 720p at 7680 frames per second. It must be noted though that when using these high frame rates, you will have to use ideal lighting conditions as they do not particularly work well in low light. One unique feature I did notice in this phone is that it does offer a dual view recording option where you can record with the normal angle and you can record with the wide angle. There's a variety of video modes on offer, but it has some of the more usual ones like time-lapse and HDR modes. Okay, enough of shooting with the main camera, time to go get that McDonald's and check out the vlog mode. I did use a gimbal here, so this is not the handheld stability.
We got the chips, we got the burger. Poor man's McDonald's meal. But it'll do for now. Nom 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 nom.
Okay, back to testing the video modes. I wanted to check out the wide angle on this phone again for video, as I wanted to do some live streaming from my phone. So wrapping up this review, my honest thoughts are that if you purchase the P40 Pro, you shouldn't sideload the Google apps. They should stick to the Huawei ecosystem. Huawei is spending an enormous amount of money into app development. So what we saw with the Play Store about 10 years ago is that apps were pretty limited, but now they have a vast array of apps. Now that Huawei has their own app development store, they are competing directly against Google and Apple. I'm sure in years to come we will see great things from Huawei now that they are more tapped into the software and app development side. Because the purchasing space is not monopolized and dominated by one particular brand. The end result is far better tech for everyone at much more competitive price. And that concludes my review of the Huawei P40 Pro. I had fun making this video. If you guys enjoyed it, please like and subscribe because I got some interesting content coming in the future videos. And that's a wrap from 86 TV, signing out.